Think you know dinosaurs? Wait until you meet these 20 weirdo giants. Your jaw will drop. Hey Gold Crushers, I'm your host. And today we're diving deep into the dinosaur kingdom's strangest residents. Let's get weird. And did I mention there's a weird dino in the thumbnail? See if you can spot which one before we get to number 20. Alright, let's kick things off with a dinosaur that will send shivers down your spine. Meet Spinosaurus, the creepy crawly croc dino hybrid. This massive meat-eater was a real OG hanging around in the early Cretaceous period between 145 and 66 million years ago. This predator was first unearthed in Morocco back in 1938, and it truly is a one-of-a-kind freak. Okay, so here's the deal. Spinosaurus had this long snout like a crocodile, but with the body of a T-Rex. But that's not even the weirdest part. Check out its gigantic sail-like structure stretching from its back to its tail. Scientists think this thing may have used its sail to regulate body temperature, display during mating season, or even as a shield for protection. Talk about versatility. Moving on to our next bonehead, meet Oviraptor, the beaked monster. Okay, so this guy was quite the looker with its bird-like beak, feathered body, and a skull that looked like a freaking mohawk. This oddball herbivore roamed what is now Mongolia in the late Cretaceous period around 70 million years ago. It was named Oviraptor because of its alleged egg-stealing habits, but recent studies suggest it probably just hung around nests for warmth. You know how sometimes you find yourself near a fireplace, and without realizing it, you're sitting in the next best thing to a Jurassic hot tub? Yeah, it's like that. Alright, check out this dino that looks straight out of a sci-fi flick. Meet Parasaurolophus, the duck-billed weirdo. This herbivore was a hadrosaur, you know those duck-billed dinos that always seem to steal the spotlight? Well, Parasaurolophus was a bit different. Instead of a simple rounded bill, it had a straight bill with a hooked tip like a freaking sword. And then there's its headgear, a long, hollow crest that looked like a trombone slide. Scientists think this crest may have been used for attracting mates, communicating or even amplifying the sound of its already loud roar. Now imagine being chased through the prehistoric jungle by a Parasaurolophus, its deafening roar echoing through the trees. Yeah, you wouldn't last long. Next up, meet Cryolophosaurus, the frozen-faced lizard. This carnivore was a relative of Ankylosaurus and lived in what is now Antarctica during the early Jurassic period, about 200 million years ago. Why is it called Cryolophosaurus, you ask? Well, it's Greek for sad face because when paleontologists found its skull, it had this weird downward curve. Plus, it had this huge canine tooth sticking out front, kind of like a sad frown. Talk about a bummer. Meet Ankylosaurus, the club-tailed terror. This herbivore was a true OG, hanging around in the late Triassic period, around 230 million years ago. Ankylosaurus was a type of prosauropod. You know, the long-necked dinos that always seem to win the popularity contest. But Ankylosaurus was a bit different. While most sauropods had long tails, this guy had a short, thick tail with a bone club at the end. Talk about a natural weapon. He didn't need no freaking AK-47. Okay, so this next dino is a real head-scratcher. Meet Homotherium, the saber-tooth kitty. This meat-eating cat was a nocturnal hunter, lurking in the shadows and using its giant saber-like teeth to take down prey. Wait, what's so weird about that, you ask? Well, unlike its saber-tooth cousins, Homotherium had these tiny little nubs where its saber teeth should have been. These nubs were more like cute little earmuffs than deadly weapons. Scientists think they may have evolved as display ornaments for attracting mates instead of actual weapons. Just imagine a saber-toothed tiger wearing little earmuffs. Talk about a fashion faux pas. Next up we have Stegosaurus, the plate-backed herbivore. This dino was a sauropod, you know, those long-necked dinos that always seem to steal the spotlight. Well, Stegosaurus was a bit different. Instead of having plates running down its back, it had these large flat spines protruding from its tail. These spines were more like a spiked mace than a tail whip. Talk about a natural weapon. Now let's turn up the heat with a dino that was literally on fire. Meet Smilodon, the saber-toothed cat. This fierce hunter was a master of stealth, using its sharp claws and saber-like teeth to take down unsuspecting prey. But wait, what's so weird about that, you ask? Well, unlike its saber-toothed cousins, Smilodon had these tiny little nubs where its saber teeth should have been. These nubs were more like cute little earmuffs than deadly weapons. Scientists think they may have evolved as display ornaments for attracting mates instead of actual weapons. Just imagine a saber-toothed tiger wearing little earmuffs. Talk about a fashion faux pas. And now for a dino that had more holes in its body than Swiss cheese. Meet Maiasaura, the cosmic critter. This creature was found in rocks that were once molten lava, making it one of the oldest dinosaurs ever discovered. And it was definitely one of the weirdest. With dozens of holes scattered across its body, it's hard to believe this dino could survive a raindrop, let alone a T-Rex attack. But hey, it's the weirdest of the weird. Okay, this next dino is like a T-Rex wearing pajamas. Meet Boreopelta markmicheli, the dinosaur that had feathers. This herbivore lived during the late Cretaceous period, around 77 million years ago, and was a relative of Ankylosaurus. The cool thing about this dino is that it had feathers covering its body, making it one of the first dinosaurs we found with this feature. It's like finding Bigfoot wearing a bathrobe. Now let's talk about a dino that's so weird it looks like a Pokemon. Meet Amargasaurus, the spiky wonder. This herbivore was a titanosaur. You know those long-necked sauropods? Well, Amargasaurus was a bit different. Instead of having a long tail, it had two long spines protruding from its neck, resembling a pair of scimitars or a medieval helmet. We don't know exactly why it had these spines, but scientists think it might have used them for defense or display during mating season. Our next contestant is a dino that looks like a chameleon with a frickin' mohawk. Meet Frilosaurus, the spiky lizard. This carnivore was a relative of Ankylosaurus and lived during the late Triassic period, around 210 million years ago. As its name suggests, it had a large frill or fan-like structure extending from its skull. It also had long sharp teeth and powerful jaws for catching prey. Let's take a look at a dino that's so weird it looks like a cow with wings. Meet Microraptor, the four-winged wonder. This small theropod lived during the early Cretaceous period around 125 million years ago and was a relative of Velociraptor. As its name suggests, it had four wings extending from its arms and legs, allowing it to glide through the air like a feathered airplane. Here's a dino that looks like a freaking crocodile with dreadlocks. Meet Sarcosuchus, the supercroc. This massive carnivore was a relative of crocodiles and lived during the late Cretaceous period around 100 million years ago. It had a long snout, powerful jaws, and a pair of humongous horns protruding from its nose. These horns were more like dreadlocks than a Viking helmet. Scientists think they may have been used for display during mating season, or for protection against predators. Alright, let's move on to a dino that looks like a horse with a freaking mohawk. Meet Hypsilophodon, the frilly herbivore. This ornithopod lived during the late Jurassic period around 150 million years ago, and was a relative of Ankylosaurus. It had a small head, long neck, and a pair of bony ridges extending from its skull. These ridges were more like a mohawk than a Viking helmet. Scientists think they may have been used for display during mating season or for protection against predators. Check out this dino that looks like a freaking triceratops with dreadlocks. Meet Chasmosaurus, the horned behemoth. This herbivore lived during the late Cretaceous period around 75 million years ago and was a relative of Triceratops. It had a large frill extending from its skull, adorned with two long curved horns protruding from its eyes. These horns were more like dreadlocks than a Viking helmet. Scientists think they may have been used for display during mating season or for protection against predators. Okay, so this next dino is like a mosquito with a freaking bazooka. Meet Arthropleura, the many-footed monster. This giant arthropod lived during the Carboniferous period, around 300 million years ago, and was the largest invertebrate to ever exist. It had a segmented body covered in hard armor and multiple pairs of legs extending from its thorax. It was like a freaking centipede on steroids. Finally, we have Archaeopteryx, the missing link. This iconic bird-like dino lived during the late Jurassic period around 150 million years ago, and was a relative of Ankylosaurus. It had feathers covering its body, a long tail, and a pair of wings extending from its arms. Archaeopteryx is considered the missing link between dinosaurs and birds, giving us insight into the evolution of flight. So which of these freaky dinos blew your mind? Comment below. Smash that like button and subscribe to Gold Crusher for more awesome deep dives.